Welcome back, Washoe Walkons fans. Episode 131 of the podcast, aka Three Clowns and a Mic. And we're back for an episode that everybody's been waiting for. Today, our guest is, in my humble opinion, the best fullback to ever strap him on at Iowa. The film doesn't lie. This is the last of the OGs, in my opinion. The next crop of fullbacks coming up, they're going to have to make their own name because this is the last of them. This is the youngest 40-year-old and the oldest 23-year-old anybody has ever known. The hardest hitter I've ever met, my uncle and my nephew, Brady Ross.
Nice to be here. What's going on, fellas?
Your background is truly tremendous.
Yes.
Well, I don't even know really what's going on. But, I just saw someone on Twitter wanted to cancel Drake Kulik, and that's not a train I'm going to not jump on. I've been trying to cancel Drake ever since I met him, and now is finally my opportunity. I'm glad somebody finally had the gusto to tweet that out, get behind their phone and tweet that out, because now I can just jump on the bandwagon.
And I totally meant to put in my intro, I don't know how I dropped the ball, that anybody who was mad at me for what's been transpiring over the last week or so, in my opinions, welcome to the roast of Drake Kulik. You're very much going to enjoy this episode. So this is a start.
Well, I don't have any roast jokes written down, but we'll see what percolates in my consciousness as we move forward. So,
oh God,
so articulate. You always were an articulate motherfucker. You know that?
What's articulate mean? I don't know.
It means that you're good with your words and you can express your feelings in a lot of ways.
I know that was a joke.
Oh,
I don't think that you're going to be quite as articulate as Miguel.
Tell you what though. Speaking of Miguel, playing Minecraft with Brady Ross, Miguel, and Miguel's brother, you have some of the most interesting conversations you could possibly have.
Well, what it is I'm Miguel and Marco have an IQ probably each of around 150 plus, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm not anywhere near as smart as they are. I'm like a wannabe smart guy, so I try to hang in there with their conversations, and a lot of times I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But I kind of give them the old yep and give them the old nod just to make sure that they don't know I'm an idiot.
Dude, you just described every day in the specialist room with Miguel for me. He was 1 year younger than us, so for 4 years, every single day at the complex when it was an individual position type deal, it was just Miguel talking about world history or the 1400s or some kind of biology science that I didn't understand, and it would just be like Miguel would be like, and you know what that is, right? And I'd just be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah, Marco's the same way. I'm pretty sure they can both recite the entire Gulag Archipelago word for word without even referring back to it. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there acting like I know what they're talking about. But they're great guys, and we haven't played Minecraft in all too long. Unfortunately, I packed my Xbox up, and it's now back in Humboldt. But we're gonna have to figure something out.
We gotta get back on that grind for sure. And Kluber, we invited him every time. Never.
Dude, it's tough when you get a fucking. Well, I was working a real job a lot of the time that you're talking about, so I was like working nights or like weird hours that I couldn't. But in the intro, Drake, who rarely a humble guy, mentioned that.
What do you mean, dude? Just because I joke a lot and talk a lot of shit doesn't mean like I'm not self-deprecating and very.
Okay, you're right.
It wasn't shit.
I guess you give credit rarely, I guess, and when it's due. And he called you. He's consistently called you the best Iowa fullback that's ever gone through the program. I'd be interested in hearing what you have to think about that.
What does his mouth feel like around your penis?
Well, he's got that mask on right now. We might have to take that off. Drake, do you always wear that on the podcast? Because I never.
No, I actually just recently got this mask because this is my new Corona mask. So this is what I wear in public because of the mask ordinance.
Okay. Oh, there's a mask ordinance where you're at. You have to wear a mask?
Correct. Everywhere you go. And so this is my mask. And also I get called a clown a lot on what Kluver that reads the message boards and people on Twitter. So yeah, I just rock the clown, man. I just own it, man.
I like it. But, you know, again, it like the greatest whatever, what do you call me? The best fullback. To me, that's
in my opinion, the film doesn't lie.
That's high praise, and I appreciate it. I think there's been a lot of good fullbacks to go through, and I think these two younger guys right now. Well, there's more than two, but Turner and Miguel, or Turner and Monty Potabom. There's my CTE. We were talking about Miguel, and I just Miguel, though a great kicker, I'm not sure that I would want him lined up at fullback for the Hawks. But
Can you imagine that?
Hey, if there's one thing you say about Miguel is he's gonna take that 23 beyond, and he's gonna put his heart into it.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
There's just not a lot of it. Lot to put in. You know.
Yeah.
It's the size of the fight in the dog, but. Yeah, these two young guys might come and dethrone me in Drake's opinion. I think, in my opinion, I never had the throne, but I appreciate him saying that, I suppose. It's better than being called some of the names he's been getting called on Twitter recently. So
it's better than getting called some of the shit I was getting called while I was playing, dude. Like, people knew I sucked years ago. I think KF even had a quote when I became one of the starters. That was like, listen, man, if you'd have seen this kid from where he started and then he just started shaking his head, and I'm not even sure he really finished his sentence. He's just like, he's put in a lot of work.
Well, yeah. I mean, so, yeah.
The classic, yeah.
It's hard. I mean, there have been guys who make the switch from linebacker and just can't quite cut it. It's a very weird – there's a lot of – people just think it's running into somebody as hard as you can, which is half the battle. But
75%.
But, I mean, there's more to it than people think, and especially when you get on the game field on Saturday. People always ask, what's the hardest part of playing fullback? And we're often asked, Drake and I, what we think of splitting reps. There's obviously some positives. You get less legs snapped in half, and you get less, CTE and on what have you. And you can, and it obviously increases your longevity both in football and probably beyond. But the hardest part about playing fullback, especially at Iowa, where let's call it like we see it, we don't play 50 snaps a game. In fact, there are some games where we don't get 25. Is you go from – it's the uncertainty, right? You go from standing on the sideline completely like you're just standing on the sideline wondering when you're going to get your next rep to making full speed contact with a linebacker or safety or, God forbid, defensive lineman within 25 seconds. And that's difficult, especially when you throw into the equation that it's 30 degrees and windy, and now you're just worried about your muscles frosting over. And so there's a lot of uncertainty involved.
Talk about the anxiety, bro. Talk about what it feels like. So, like, I've tried to explain it, but from a guy who went from starting fucking day one, like, you redshirted and then you might as well have took my job. Like, if I'm being frank, you would have won the job in camp when I was a junior and you were a freshman. You were better than me at some of the things that you needed to be better than me at. And, like, you had to have been, like, stupid anxious from red shirt to then, boom, just day one.
Well, when I was probably for my first half of my first season, I was just bombarding you with questions about because I'm a person where the last thing I ever wanted to do was mess up, do the wrong thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure I would just verify if I was 99.9 repeating % certain what I do on 27 boss. I had to verify it with you 3 times over. So, like, you know, insofar as I would have taken your job, I really think, you know, and I do like flipping you, you know, giving you a hard time, but I really think without your guidance, I mean, they probably would have, you know, I probably would be one of these guys on Twitter talking about how I was treated unfairly, but that
is true. I was like the Brady's uncle, even though he's the most uncle looking dude of all time. We're
gonna get to that. Drake, I'm curious if I got to imagine the way that Brady just described that is very similar in your situation with Adam Cox and Macon Pleva.
Yeah.
So Brady, I got a question. You talked about being anxious before because you have no idea when you're going in. When you go in, it's like, okay, now I have to go run full speed into a massive human. What is it compared to like punt alert, like going in because you were on the shield, right?
No, I mean it's
not great.
Punt alert's nothing. I mean,
really.
The thing about playing fullback, well, the thing about the shield is I don't care about getting my face smashed in, right? All I have to do is stand there and
take it,
you know, get my face smashed in. At least I'm not going to do anything wrong. At fullback, you know, and I referenced earlier, we don't get a ton of plays. Well, now for that reason, every rep you do get carries more weight, right? If you're Josie Jewell or Ben Neiman, you're playing 77 snaps a game and you mess up a couple, who cares?
Smaller percentage, yeah.
Right. When you get, you know, when we're playing Wisconsin or whatever and you get 12 snaps and a couple go wrong, all of a sudden now you just played a terrible football game because 20% of, you know.
Brady, I'm so happy you described it that way because I've never been able to articulate that. And that, again, specialist is different. I'm not running into anybody, but I've got the goddamn ball in my hands every time I was on the field. And that was a perfect way to describe it.
Think about this. There was a play when we were playing Ohio State that Brady Ross, Butters from Humboldt, was out on the edge protecting Nate against Nick Bosa. And we just need to sit here and
Advantage
take a moment
Hawks.
to think about it. And guess what? Brady went in there and sniped his knee. Nick hit the deck on his face, and Brady won the rep. Advantage Hawks.
Advantage Hawks.
You know, yeah, but I remember that. I believe it was my first or second play, and I look out there,
and it's Nick Bosa.
You know, when you walk into Shields or Dunham's or, you know, one of those sporting goods stores, and you see that Under Armour statue standing there, and it's like 6'7", you know, it just looks like Ronnie Coleman. You're like, there's no. That is so unrealistic. There's no one that looks like that. Like
you saw a mannequin on the D end.
I looked out and saw that mannequin, except he could actually run around. And usually on those plays, Brian discourages us from cutting if we can, you know, unless he's screaming up the field. I looked out there and said, sorry, Brian.
Listen, Coach Brian admitted to us. He's like, listen, if this guy doesn't want to be blocked, he won't be blocked. So we're not going to be mad at you. It was a situation where he understood that, like, one-on-one, we didn't have a player. Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's in that situation.
He's gotten better, obviously, but he can't be blocked in the NFL.
As a rookie, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Advantage Hawks.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what Kevin said. Butters from Humboldt.
That's Butters,
or what Drake said, I guess. Butters from Humboldt. Let's talk about that. You came into the program in the golden year. You were part of that class that for a whole year didn't really understand how hard it was to play Big Ten football. Like it was this year of like, we won again. Oh,
well, I understood what it was like to be a Big Ten scout team linebacker.
Yeah.
While the, you know, like handful of the guys who they offered scholarships to play linebacker, they literally didn't even practice. They're over there laying on the sideline, like lounging around while I'm smashing my head into Sean Welsh because, you know, we can't get a card right. But so I knew that all too well. But
Yeah.
Hey, Ross, let's talk about your guys' linebacker recruiting class.
Look, I can't say a bad word about any of those guys. I've run into a couple of them.
As people or as
throughout.
linebackers?
I've run into a couple. And I give them a big hug. Like, they're great guys. And I think a couple of them went on to other places and had really good careers. So again, there's no nothing I can say negative towards those guys. It's
what a politically correct answer.
Well, again, I have memories with those guys coming in as freshmen. You're all kind of trying to figure things out, and you're having your summer meetings and, sizing each other up. And, Jack Hockaday is a guy that I talked to a few times. I told him I'd give him a shout out. I just had a whole can of sauce for him. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some guys who it didn't work out for. It wasn't a right fit, whatever the case may have been. And I wish nothing but the best for all of them as they move forward. But
yeah, I think that's something that gets lost on fan bases and just people outside the program, is like, no matter how good you are at retaining players or developing players or finding a player his true position where he's going to excel the best, there's still going to be attrition that is significant from each class, and people don't get that. I don't think it. People are always like, why are we like it? You have to expect that at least 25% of the class is going to fail. Like, there's not enough spots. You just look at the spots. I don't know. That's always something that got to me. But Brady, you made your way. Okay, so first of all, the Butters thing. You used to have hair, right? And something that you're always on me about is shaving.
And how did you get so old in 1 year? Because you looked like Butters from South Park, and we made fun of you for it, and you took it because some people know the sticks and stones verbiage. But how did you get so old in 1 calendar year?
Well, I looked old.
Not really.
When I had hair.
I didn't
remember.
think so.
Well, I remember Brian Ferentz telling me that I was the oldest looking freshman he had seen since Tim Dwight, and that was when I had hair.
You did look,
and I agree. I kind of did. I didn't look like. Well, first of all, I was old. So one of the reasons why I look old is because I am. I'm 24. You said I was 23 in the end.
Okay, bro. I'm damn near 26, and I don't look near as old as you.
Well, that explains some percentage of it. I was 19 and a half years old when I graduated high school. My mom and dad were pretty smart as far as the red shirt goes when they're, the red shirt year is utilizing that red shirt to.
You had a high school red shirt.
Well, I think it was really because when I was little, I was what some may call a slow developer. I had trouble tying my shoes and what have you, but so they decided to put me in 2 years of preschool and 1 year of prep. And I'm still not sure that I've caught up, but I think that did help, at least physically. So I was a menace on the flag football field in fourth grade.
Dude, it's all starting to come together though, because I saw your high school highlights. You put a kid in a helicopter, Brady, and it makes sense if you were hitting kids when you were 19 years old. It's starting to come together.
Brady was that kid from fucking Benchwarmers. I am 12 in a case of beer. That's Brady. And now, you know what? You always talked about your AAU basketball days and how you were a fucking savage running point. And now that makes more sense because you were playing third graders as an eighth grader.
I was, I have to say AAU is actually age determinant. So it's like 17U, 16U. So
some of them.
And I don't talk about my AAU days. I don't know what you're talking about. You must know
That's such bullshit, dude. You sent us a video the other day of like a turnaround jump shot, you fading away.
And what happened? It was bottom of the net, right?
Yeah, dude.
That was first take.
Is this your time to let everybody know that you would have been one of the greatest point guards to ever play?
No, I point guard, no. The problem with me is I can't shoot the 3 ball. 15 feet and in, or 16 and a half feet and in. I was pretty effective offensively, and I could hold my own at the defensive end. Mid-range game, the fadeaway. I couldn't hit a 3 though, and I couldn't handle the ball. I can handle the ball well in a driving context when you're driving to the hoop, trying to make a one-on-one play. But we had a really good point guard when I was in high school and coming up that I could have never even played for Humboldt at point guard. So, but
talk about that. Talk about Humboldt and real quick, because we usually go through like, hey, you went here. How'd your recruiting going? How did Brady Ross Humboldt? You wearing the Wildcat strength shirt. How does that guy turn into walk-on fullback? Where in your walk-on story was like the sliver of opportunity given? How'd you make your way in?
When I was, it's very. I'm glad you asked that. When I was in 8th grade, like basketball season-ish of my 8th grade year, my dad introduced me to a guy named Nick Schluter, who was at that time the volunteer strength coach at Humboldt. And, this is a guy that's, a mountain of a man. He bench pressed 500 plus pounds in a t-shirt.
Jesus.
And really we just kind of hit it off and spent hours and hours and hours in the weight room, where I developed quite a love for moving iron around and
became
learned a lot of life
most
lessons from him.
Outrageously strong human beings.
And so that's it right there. When I met Nick Schluter, that was my sliver of opportunity to develop into somebody who the Hawks would let come smash into things for absolutely no compensation whatsoever, which seems like a fair trade-off to me, I suppose.
Shout out to us, man. The ones who did it for no compensation.
When did it happen? Did it like junior year, senior year? They like, hey, you can walk on. Was it one of those like, hey,
we need some guys willing to go smash into some offensive line?
Was it? It was Reese Morgan, obviously, had to be.
Well, the interest was pretty early. I went with my dad to a.
You were 28 years old as a freshman.
I went to a camp. Interest, quote unquote. They were never obviously interested, right. Otherwise they would have given me something. But but I went to a camp in Kinnick Stadium, and afterwards, Coach Woods, came up to me and wanted me to come to his camp, and I really just think he wanted the $3.99 or whatever he charged his parents to go to his Okoboji camp, but he got it from my parents, and it did not produce any fruit as far as earning a scholarship. So that was a win for him, I suppose. But yeah, they had been in talks, and I had been.
Wow. Just
shout out to Coach Woods, man. I love Coach Woods.
He's awesome. I talked with him on the phone couple days ago, and he's just he's one of those guys that'll bend over backwards for guys to help him out, and just awesome guy. I mean, one of my favorite people on earth.
That was one of the funniest things you've ever said.
He just wanted
that investment didn't pay off.
But it did pay off. At least we got free tickets to the games, because they would I was in their mailing list for like, hey, tell us what games you want to come to, and of course me and my dad were front and center the whole time, hoping like, hey, here we are. Maybe you can take me or something like that. But,
hey, yeah. Got any scholarships, sir? Any scholarships?
They had a couple, but they decided they decided that they were better spent elsewhere, I suppose. We'll just leave it at that.
There's a little ring of your Dolph voice in that right there, and you gave us a little snippet the other day on Twitter when Dolph called you out and said, let's hear that Dolph impression, buddy boy. You got the buddy boy.
When Dolph asks, Dolph receives. Although I still don't think he follows me on Twitter, but
What an asshole.
I don't know.
What's your favorite thing to say as Dolph? I'm not gonna make you do a bunch of impressions, but I do want to hear like something like.
I'm not gonna lie, that hype video that you did.
The Hawkeyes. Because and somebody commented on Twitter to do a touchdown Iowa. Dolph,
that's when he gets like really.
That becomes really difficult, and I think here's why. When it comes to impersonating, a given trait's susceptibility to impersonation or imitation, I think has directly to do with, as almost entirely to do with, how distinct and unique that trait is. And that's true whether you're talking about a voice or, like a walking gait. If I told you to walk like Kevin Ward, you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But you walk like Vince McMahon. Yeah, give me your best Vince McMahon walk. Everyone knows shooting, shoot like Sean Marion. Give me a Sean Marion jump shot. Everyone, that's easy to impersonate. Impersonating Kobe Bryant, because it's just, it's textbook. It's relatively mundane. And the problem with the touchdown Iowa thing is when he's saying touchdown Iowa repeatedly, he's no longer speaking.
Yeah. And
he's now yelling at the top of his lungs, and it loses some of that
uniqueness.
Some of those distinct traits, because when he talks, sometimes he'll linger on certain syllables of certain words. The Iowa Hawkeye, he'll let it ride a little bit, or they're 243 days.
That's the one I love the most.
But when he's yelling, it loses some of that. So
just 1 minute.
Yeah. So, but he's the GOAT, and you can't not. So
yeah, he is the GOAT. So you go to that camp. You went to that camp, paid the $3.99, padded Woods' account. It probably goes to like a charity or like a foundation.
Definitely with him. I would be shocked if he even saw that money. So
right,
and it's
not like it matters. He makes like
it was.
And so was it there that he was like? Because what year would that have been? That would have been like freshman year. So did they tell you freshman year that you could walk on, or was it like finally you got to junior year and you were still lingering around like, okay, fine, like, well, fuck yeah, just come on August 1st and like we'll see if we have a locker.
They didn't tell me about the walk-on thing until after Iowa State actually told me that I could come be what was then called a preferred walk-on. I think
I still don't know what that is.
What it is it's a walk-on that goes to camp.
Okay. Yeah, it's a guaranteed camp spot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a camp, which in hindsight I would probably kind of wish I was a non-preferred given that, but
I'll just take walk-on. I don't need.
Hey,
but
that first camp is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
So
yikes. But but yeah, I was at an Iowa State camp, an Iowa State junior day, a pretty elite junior day. I think there was 14 guys there, all of whom, except for me, I think, went D1 on scholarship.
Wow, you suck.
Ryan Boyle, Bryce Meeker, that McMillan kid there were two linebackers there, me and that McMillan kid who they offered. And I got pulled. So we're at the basketball game, and they're playing Oklahoma State. Marcus Smart, Phil Forte, and it's a close game. Hilton Coliseum rocking, and the Scott Southmaid of Iowa State, I think his name was Garrett.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, came down and he said, "Hey, Brady, after this game, Coach Rhodes wants to meet with you and your family in his office."
You're just seeing dollar signs.
You thought you had it.
I mean, and of course, as fate has it, the game goes to like quadruple overtime. we get in the bus, and it's just bumper to bumper traffic. And I'm like, I think I'm about to get offered by Iowa State. Like, I think I'm going to, and sure enough, we get in there. He sings, we can't get enough of your highlights. We watch him all the time. We just need you to come to camp and hit some minimum numbers, and, we're going to pull the trigger, and we're really cheering for you. We want, all that stuff. We've seen enough of you as far as football goes, and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I hire a guy from around that area to like help me, because, half the tests are like cheating them and knowing how to do them. And, we're working and all that stuff. And I end up running pretty good times. I mean, I was in the 4.6s. I broad jumped, I think, not way further than I ever broad jumped at Iowa. It was like 9.
Well, when you're goddamn
high, it was like 9-10 or whatever. And I thought I did it. My recruiting area coach came over, gave me a big hug. We're definitely going to be calling you tomorrow. You killed it, all that stuff. Well, they offered me a walk-on spot. So
that is tough.
So, I guess when you can walk on at Iowa or Iowa State, I guess some people might – nothing against the people who would choose Iowa State in that scenario, but that's not –
No.
That's not me. That isn't me.
Paul Rhodes is a dickhead. So there's where we're at.
Paul Rhodes, they stopped contacting me. They fucking love me. I went into their snapper camp, like their special teams camp, and blew everybody out of the water. And they were like, yeah, you did good. Later, we're in middle of freshman year at Iowa, and I figured out that they didn't want anybody but Paul Rhodes' son was in our class, and they took him, and the only thing he could do was long snap, of course. And so that's why they didn't.
Wait, what else can you do?
Got his ass.
Hey, how? I'm curious. It's probably more than me, but how many tackles did you have in high school?
I don't know.
Because I had 325.
I have no idea.
That sounds like a guy who lives in
at the 4A level.
Are the pages of your yearbook sticky, or do you keep that close?
I'm just saying.
I'll also add this: tackle stats in high school are, and I have no idea how many I had. Like, I could have had more or less. I don't know. But tackle stats in high school are an absolute joke.
Yeah, it's not
meaningless.
Absolute joke. There was a kid my year, my senior year. I think it was my senior year or junior year, one of the two, from Waverly, that had like 478 tackles on the season, like solo tackles.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's definitely
like, is no one else on your team tackling anybody?
Well, no. The problem is their guys are entering stats for them that aren't correct.
I got -4 tackles one game.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I went and counted one time because I was curious, because you can look at the team stats. They had something like 90 solo tackles registered throughout their team. The other team had run like 44 offensive plays. So I'm assuming that if you got 325, I'm guessing that's more like
no, that was 325 real tackles.
The quarterback took a knee. We'll give the tackle to the defensive tackle.
Yeah. But you're right. I was that's all I did. I probably, you know what? There's a good chance that I'm probably not nearly as tough or dumb as you two to put myself in that position, but 5'10", I could be a bulky little fullback. You could have put about 40 pounds on me. I could have played at what I looked like for pro day, about 240, 5'10".
What? You were the right size, man.
Yeah. Low to the ground, just cutting bitches down. But I would have pussied out of that. There's no way I was gonna.
I would love to have seen Tyler Kluver take a 9-on-7 session at fullback. That would have made me happy.
I wouldn't have. That sounds horrible. I watched a lot of those, and I actually think I lost cells myself just hearing the hits. Brady, that's how you got to Iowa, and that's how you made a living, dude. I don't know if you wrote down in your journal every day, piss somebody on the offense off or what, but when you came in from camp your freshman year, basically that whole season, the offense fucking hated you. dude.
Yeah.
And we heard about so much that I heard about it from the offensive guys. They talked about it in team meetings. I mean,
I know how much Phil Parker loved it.
Phil loved it, but you
Phil
made it.
loves it when the scout team guys give the offense a whole bunch of shit to do.
You basically made a name for yourself and carved your path early by just being an absolute bitch to handle on scout team. I want to hear your thoughts on that and how that first year.
And I'm going to tell a story after that.
Well, it was a goal of mine to make as many enemies as I could on the offensive side, because that would mean that I was doing some things right on the scout team. I understood when guys would come, respected guys, really good players who are now still playing in the NFL, would come up to me and say, take it easy, chill, you don't have to take people's heads off and run around like a cyborg. But with all due respect, I did have to do that. I knew what my goals were, or I didn't really have goals because I just wanted to have as much success as I could. I didn't want to quantify that with goals because goals are only good insofar as they influence your then subsequent actions. I just knew what actions I had to take to increase the probability that I would have some level of success, whether that was, running down, hey, we'll let that kid run down on kickoffs as a senior. And hey, if we have a spare scholarship sitting around, put him on Scully for his last semester, give him a feather in his cap or something. Maybe that would have been the top of my mount. Or, as it turns out, I played in 45 games and was a couple-time team captain, and that was great too. I never imagined that, but I knew that if I just work harder than everybody else on scout team and, basically be a thorn in the side of the offense as often as I can, that'll probably go a long way towards getting me on the field on Saturday. And I wanted to earn playing time, earn a scholarship, and I wanted to do it yesterday. So I felt like that was probably the best strategy rather than to, kind of go through the motions and wait my turn, because my turn wasn't coming if that was my strategy.
You had to create your turn.
You are not in line.
Yeah.
There was a time.
Drake, before you ask, real quick, I want to hear, because I know there had to be these days. How many times did you roll over to practice, Brady, knowing that that's what you had to do every day, and mentally, you were either tired, long class, a lot of homework, whatever, and you were like, "Fuck, man, I have to go 300% again today." What kind of mental battle is that? Were there ever days where you're like, I don't know if I can. How did you get yourself up on the days where it just wasn't,
No, in fact, in maybe nostalgia, it's pretty well understood now that, within this psychological literature and what have you, that nostalgia is, it's very dishonest. Things are never quite as good as or bad as you remember. But especially good, we tend to kind of see things through rose-colored glasses as we reflect back on them. But looking back, my freshman year when I was on scout team was maybe my favorite year. Really? In many ways. We were 12-0, and that was fun.
Yeah,
but even
fun.
Take that away, and I think it was because there was a very clear progression. It was clear that my actions were creating a progression towards somewhere worth going. And it was pretty clear. It was pretty measurable.
You could see the fruits of your labor.
You could see things. You could see the flywheel start to turn on its own.
Slight edge.
And so that's a powerful feeling when no matter how extreme, of the extreme the actions are, when you see what you're doing starting to pay off, I think that's one of the best drugs. If you could bottle that drug up and sell it, everyone in the world, so.
What's the second best drug? Are there any other good drugs out there?
It depends on what you're doing, I suppose. Right. Yeah. I'm a big caffeine guy. I like caffeine and aspirin. daily. I'm on this health kick
is
now.
Is that the fullback cocktail?
You don't want to know
aspirin and caffeine.
The fullback cocktail.
Yeah, you might have to ask Drake for the fullback cocktail. I'm straight edge, and
I want my liver to work.
I don't know the first thing about that kind of thing. So
okay, all right. Drake, you can tell your story now.
There was a day where Brady Ross was the biggest thorn in my side of all time. It was 2015 in the indoor, the very last rep of the kick return period, which means the very last rep of the week. Yeah. And it was late in the season. And Brady Ross came down and
punched the gas.
Ripped my head off, dude. He punched the gas through my chin, probably knocked me pretty out. I remember the play. I don't really remember the repercussion of it, but I mean, on a Wednesday or Thursday or something.
What an asshole.
We might both feel the repercussion of it when we're 50 years old and can't remember our names, but
dude, I'm already forgetting everything.
Oh, well, what do you do? What do you do?
That's only like 5 or 6 years for you.
All right, for the fullbacks here, what hurts most? 23B, power O, running into the wedge on kickoff, or being the wedge on kickoff return? Which one kills the most brain cells?
Honestly, I don't know. I think patting each other on the back on how bad things are, as far as fullbacks are concerned, like, oh, you guys are so tough and all that. Like, we have helmets on and pads on. Like, it's not that, it's like we're Navy SEALs. It's not like we're –
It's pretty bad.
It's not like we're on Omaha Beach charging machine – like, we got helmet and pads on. Honestly, we're pretty soft. It's not – you don't have to be that tough to run into a guy.
It looked pretty bad.
Cushion on you. I mean, we did things way cooler than that when we were little and playing on the blacktop, no helmet. But – yeah, I mean, it's.
Of course you did, Brady. You killed a bunch of 7-year-olds when you were 14.
So,
allegedly.
Hey, I didn't make the rules. I just exploit them.
Brady's the only one to ever redshirt in elementary.
I very much did not like being the wedge on kickoff return. So I'm just going to select that one by sheer dislike.
The problem with a wedge and really they outlawed the wedge. I think that was after you.
R.I.P. to the wedge.
But it's same concept. We now have to do a tandem. It's called a tandem, 2x2, whatever. But the problem with that being back line, whatever you call it, on kick return is there's one of two possible scenarios. One, you completely whiff and look like a complete, I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, or two, the opposite happens, and you have trouble remembering where you are and who you are for a few.
Do you remember when Austin Kelly put the kid? We thought the kid was paralyzed.
I remember that.
Who was that against?
I remember
Western.
That. He
That's
fucked.
Right, 2016, right?
That kid
hit right in his chin, and the kid didn't wake up for 5 minutes at least.
Shit,
bro,
dude,
I remember.
About that.
I remember watching that in the team meeting the next day, and everyone was like, Jesus Christ.
They had to bring him to the hospital, like right next door.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of people who were like, please don't be paralyzed.
That motherfucker is still in the hospital. I'm fairly certain. Jesus. Okay, so 2015, all roses. Literally, fucking Rose Bowl. Actually, not all roses. We lost the Big Ten championship in the last 30 seconds or whatever it was, 2 minutes.
The Rose Bowl wasn't all roses either.
The Rose Bowl was tough. I'm so sad that was your first year and that you didn't get to be out there versus Ole McCaff, because let me tell you, not fun. Not fun.
Yeah. Well,
I think I got in on a quarter tackle on one of the punts. Otherwise, I watched him just run a lot. So over the next few years, well, I guess we left in 17, so there's only 2 years left.
How much did you hate it when I was gone, Brady?
Yeah, like what was it over the course of your career? Talk about maybe, I think we're gonna get to these Twitter questions. I think there was a couple like favorite block, favorite moment as a Hawk, and then maybe on the other side like hardest you ever got hit in a game or like least favorite moment. Give us some of those.
Which one do you want?
Give us the favorites first.
Favorites.
Favorite block, I think. Let me see if I can find it.
Favorite block. I'm going to run to the bathroom quick. I'll be right back.
You're fucking kidding me, Brady. I hate you.
Wow. This has never happened.
This is unprecedented. Brady Ross thinks he can do what he –
What are the odds he just doesn't come back?
Pretty good. He might forget that we were doing a podcast.
We're staring at the canceled Drake Kulik sign in this room right now.
Yeah, so for those watching on YouTube, he just got up out of his 1958 rolling desk chair. And now the cancel Drake Kulik sign takes precedent in his quarter of the screen. What an interesting guy. What a fucking guy.
Like, who the hell just walks out of an interview like that?
That's incredible, that the audacity to really do that. And I'm leaving it in, too.
That's the thing about him is the audacity is at an all-time high. Brady Ross when it comes to the three of us, his audacity is on the moon where Neil Armstrong put the flag.
For those listening, don't let him fool you. He's talked all about how bad 23B is all the time.
I'm overhydrated from yoga, so sorry.
From yoga.
Man of many talents. So what are you doing for workouts these days? I see you fucking deadlifting, doing yoga, and eating massive bowls of pasta. I can't figure out what you're doing.
That's it.
Deadlifting, yoga.
You nailed it. Yeah. Squat, bench, deadlift, yoga, and eat. And run and walk. I do a lot of walks.
Same.
So, like, do you have any training goals? Are you trying to do a powerlifting meet or what?
Yeah, eventually. But right now it's just recomping and trying to get some of this
explain
this football
recomping.
chub.
Yeah, explain recomping for the fans because they're not going to get that.
Well, I was,
Explain.
fat, now I'm trying to get not fat.
Take us back to like your most elite pregame snake, and then
take us back to Friday night.
and then journey from that weight that night to where you're at now.
There was a method to the madness because, my goal weight was 246 at its peak. But I would actually drive my weight higher than that for Saturdays.
How much higher? How much higher?
Quite a bit higher. On occasion, we might see a 6 in the second digit column.
It wasn't even on occasion, dude.
Unbelievable.
Well, here's the thing.
Brady, you're not tall. You're like 6 feet.
Sure. We'll say 6 foot.
What did you measure at Pro Day? 5'11".
I am a hair under 6 feet. So
260.
So rounding down doesn't make much sense, but yeah, we'll call it 6 feet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, how I'm utilized and really getting specific is we were blocking battering ram fullbacks, right? We didn't play all over. We didn't really get the ball much, all that stuff. So when you're in a physical altercation like a 23B, you're bringing with you a weapon. And that weapon is your body mass. Just like if you're on the interstate, okay, and you're going to have a head-on collision, would you rather have a head-on collision with a smart car or an 18-wheeler Peterbilt? Right? The same thing applies.
And Friday night, Brady Ross was trying to be that.
I was trying. I ended up becoming more like a dump truck, probably
a Mack truck. Yeah.
Just full of garbage. Probably a garbage truck would be the best thing.
How bad did you feel?
I don't know, you get used to it after a while, but I just wanted to be as, if I was going to hit,
Juwan Bentley.
Sure. If I was going to hit pick your star opposing Mike linebacker, I wanted to do it being bigger than him and as big as I could be. Because again, I wasn't going to have to run fast with the ball in space because that wasn't asked of me. So that's why I would try to, get my way. And then of course on Monday I would get it back down.
So what we're talking about is basically in the span of a week, every week.
Less than a week, because we weighed in on Wednesdays after practice. So you had from Wednesday morning to Saturday to gain 20 pounds.
15 pounds.
And then you had from Saturday after the game till Monday morning to lose 20 pounds.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. My younger years. As I got older, I kind of, I eased up on that quite a bit. I probably played around sometimes I was in the 240s, the high 240s. I was always over, but I would usually be low 250s as I got older.
You weren't pounding
on
down
Saturday, so
you weren't pounding down the triple burgers and 10 scoops of ice cream on Friday nights anymore.
I never had ice cream. I never had ice cream.
Dude, the ice cream's smiggity smack.
But how many of the chocolate milks did you drink?
I had a few.
I ate before the Outback Bowl, the last Outback Bowl, the one we won. I was coming back from the ankle injury, and I knew, and like Drake can tell you, as you go through the week, you as a fullback, you kind of get a feel for how much the play caller is intending to have you in the game on Saturday based on how many plays you get in practice. There are some weeks where we get quite a few plays in practice, and some weeks where we might not even get 2 throughout the whole team period. Well, that bowl prep was one of those not very fullback heavy game plans. So, and Michele and I were going to be splitting reps.
Is that because they had the most elite D line?
Yeah, they looked like me and playing 4th grade flag football when I was when I was 17 years old. Like you keep referencing
those.
That's what they looked like. But yeah, so I went to town that snack because first of all I knew that the few plays I was going to be in, there was a very real possibility that I was going to have a 300-pound man who runs a 4.5 40 in my lap. So we could get that body weight up and see what we could do. But yeah, so it varied. But yeah, as I got older and wiser, I eased up on that a little bit. But
that's incredible. I mean, the
comedy.
Oh man. So then, and we'll get to the end of your career, pro day, all this other stuff. But now, where are you at? Now that the NFL, I mean, you potentially came out in the worst year ever let's talk about that. You came out in the worst year ever.
The NFL doesn't want fullbacks.
COVID Chronicles. You've essentially have had no chance, even if you were God at fullback, to make a team this year.
Well, I mean, I didn't even know if I wanted to do the pro day thing, truth be told. After the Holiday Bowl, I just had kind of a sort of like a Zen type of calm about, kind of outlook on everything. And I thought, that's done. That's the football thing is done. It is what it is. And what happened was I was going to go and try to get hired as a financial advisor with Edward Jones, and that's a multiple month period. So I was pretty much in a situation where I wasn't going to be able to do anything for a few months anyway. And, if I trained, I could get free food and, free access to the weight room. And so kind of became a no-brainer. Well, then as the process continued to unfold, teams actually started to contact me and show quite a bit of what seemed like interest. I heard some very promising things from a lot of coaches.
Oh yeah.
We're doing everything we can to get you here. I had a coach text me on the final day of the draft, if you don't get drafted, which is that's a big if there, but if you don't get drafted, keep us in mind. We have a situation you would really excel in. And turns out that particular team not only didn't contact me, they didn't even bring in a fullback, period. So there's some very weird politics that I'm sure is
those guys
just
jobs,
above my pay grade. I don't understand it, but
their jobs are to suck. Just find a way to suck every single guy they're contacting off so that those guys feel obligated to choose them as a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, but it is what it is. It's the business, and I'm feeling great right now. I'm down to about 215, and
Sheesh.
don't have that sack of potatoes hanging over my belt quite like I used to. But I mean, life is good. Life is great.
How much better do you feel?
A lot better. I feel a lot better. I feel good. So
do you feel it in your joints?
For the first time in a long time, I don't feel anything in my joints, which is welcome change. I can actually run now without, feeling it in both knees and ankles, and even my bad ankle is pretty much, even though I've been working out a lot lately, it's feeling way better than it ever did when I was playing. So.
You remember all the broken leg jokes that you used to hit me with? Like the "look, mom, 2 legs" when you took that picture?
Yeah, what one was that? I do kind of remember.
We were at that photo shoot in the spring, and I could finally walk again. And I had put cleats on for the first time since I broke my leg. And you took a picture, and you were like, at Drake, in quotations, "Look, mom, 2 legs."
Yeah, that was gnarly. But
Brady,
what do you do? It happened. You either laugh or cry, and I tried to lift the spirits when I could. And
we got a great laugh out of that.
Yeah,
might as well.
So I found the question, one more before. I think we're going to get into these questions on the back half of this thing. But it was, what is your favorite block of your career? What was your favorite moment of your career? And then a bunch of people wanted you and Drake to compare what you did well as a fullback versus what Drake did well as a fullback.
I'm telling you right now, I was better with the ball in my hands, and I don't care if Brady's gonna deny it or what. That's my claim to fame. He was better when it came to body on body. I was pretty good out on the perimeter. If you give us a push out on the perimeter, inside the box, my guy dusted me. Film doesn't lie, but I'll go to my grave saying I was better with the ball in my hands because I'm an Brady.
Brady did try to turn around and hand it back to Nate. What the fuck were you doing? And that's one of the questions. I'll find it, but share your thoughts on that one.
Sometimes playmakers try to make plays, and it's easy when you're. It's easier when you're. It's easier when you're sitting on the couch as a former long snapper who's in between tweets reminding everybody that he played for the Hawks. Usually stretch about 40 minutes apart, maybe.
Dude, why would I not?
But it. Look, I tried making a play and it didn't work out.
Respect.
It is what it is. I mean, it was all me. I should have ate it. I got the ball and the dude was 3 yards in the backfield unblocked, and I should have just went down. But some of us don't have that quit in us clue.
Respect.
So
almost tried spread for us in that game.
Some would maybe
spread for us in that game, but Brian decided he wanted to score touchdowns in the last 2 minutes to cover the spread. So we're all good. No hard feelings, Brady.
Yeah.
Good. It was keeping me up at night.
Drake got so many tweets after that happened. Like, what's your boy doing? I thought it was funny as fuck. Honestly, I was laughing. I was like, what? I was like, B. Ross, man. I that's what I said. I was like, he's trying to make some shit happen. He's really trying to.
Listen,
truth be told,
I did it in the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, when I got hit, it was one of those things I didn't really secure the ball fully by the time I got whacked, and he got either his knuckle or the helmet right on the ball, And that put me in panic mode because, again, like I referenced earlier, when you're a fullback and you get the ball and you think that thing might be loose, you don't get the ball. Like, you better not, so my brain was just in panic mode. And I should have went down. Definitely should have went down. No question about it. But I didn't. I tried making the Reggie Bush highlight play, and
the great answer.
How'd that work out for Reggie Bush?
It resulted in them running the opposite direction with the football. So sometimes you win some, you lose some, I guess.
Hey,
There was a calculated risk, and it didn't pay off.
more power to you for trying, bro.
Yeah, that was
Is what it is.
I just remember our group chat. It was like, what the fuck is Brady doing?
Yeah, we had a fun time with it. We were laughing. It was great.
Oh man, because it's like there's like some guys like you like okay like maybe I expect that from, but it's like Brady, come on.
Yeah. Let's talk about this a little bit longer, guys.
I was gonna say we don't gotta dig them.
Okay, this question's kind of funny. It's actually mostly a dig at me. I enjoyed this. It was like a 6-part question. It said, 1, creepiest text you've ever received from Drake. 2, how much better are you than Drake? 3, could Ward ever tackle you? 4, had you heard of Kluver before you are asked to go on the podcast? That one's really good.
I forgot what one was.
It was great. Well, yeah, the CT will do that. Creepiest text you ever received from Drake.
Creepiest? I don't think.
We probably text from Drake.
I mean, Drake, remember that one time in the hotel you had that conversation with me about the.
Tell him about it. Tell him about it. Say, I'm okay. You can air me out, bro. This can be the roast. You tell him.
It's not airing you out. I mean, you were unconscious, but it had something to do with a team mom or something like that.
What now?
Volleyball team mom. Like, there's a team mom for the volleyball team, and he was asking me some questions about her, but there was that. I mean, that was it. I mean, that he was sleeping. He was sleep talking to me about a fictional team mom for the volleyball team, and I that was the only creepy really experience. I most of my texts and experiences I had with Drake, I wouldn't classify as creepy.
They're more like
yeah.
Kevin and I can relate. I mean, the message between us three, like the washed up walk-ons message, some of the shit that Drake decides to send to that, and the Benton message, like I'll just look at my phone and think, what the hell is going on? The last part of that question, which was really the only real question, was who did you enjoy beating the most, Iowa State or Nebraska? I feel like for you it's probably Iowa State. Like, or did you fucking hate Nebraska and like?
Were there other ones before that one, or
No,
because there was like 17 parts to that question, right?
The other one was no. They were all like funny, like dumb. Are you?
Oh.
One of them was, are you related to Chad Ross? I don't know who that fuck that.
Yeah,
is.
Chad's my uncle. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Chad's the man. Shout out Chad Ross.
Who'd you like beating more, Iowa State or Nebraska?
I think we got a celebrity guest question.
Oh my God,
What's up, squad? So, hey,
Boss.
Checkers, shout out. Checkers of the Quad Cities, quick sponsor. What's up, Bulls?
Okay, Jake, real quick.
You guys live together?
Why the fuck did you pay for Checkers the other day on your Snapchat story?
I got to support local.
Your dad owns it.
Yeah, I got to help the guy out every once in a while.
So now, and that makes sense because with the way you deal with your fucking Wi-Fi, all of that runs together.
I've seen tweets about my Wi-Fi. I've never had a problem with my Wi-Fi.
That's bullshit. That's total bullshit.
God's honest truth. Boy Scouts honor. Hey, Drake. Hey, Brady.
What up?
We have to get Gervais back on for another episode.
What's up, Bulls?
Okay.
What's up, Bulls?
Okay, it's time for you to leave. Got him out of my room.
This is a
Last
good one.
time I tried to go to Gervais's house, I walked into the wrong house. So.
Oh, shit, I remember that.
Were you over there?
I live here, dude.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Is he still charged 7
Right here,
times what it should charge for rent? He might.
Dude, the rent's probably up to like 1,500 or 1,600, and there's like 8
Dude, I lived there as a freshman, and it was like literally not exaggerating, more than double what I paid at this place. And this place is way nicer.
Ooh, talk about 830 Miller.
Way nicer. 830
830
Miller is greater than sign 56 Arbery, no doubt.
830 Miller is a staple of Iowa football.
Yeah,
that
really.
thing's been in the family since like 2011, I think.
Yeah.
Intercontinental
At
champion. Yeah.
What's that?
Intercontinental champion.
Big E
Hey,
Langston.
You're muted.
Well, that's good. You don't need to hear me anyways.
Yeah. Question, Brady. Who will start, Stidham or Cam?
Cam. That's Rick Hofer, too, by the way. Shout out Rick.
He said, I don't know what this means. Pickup game at Mies down to the last 2 picks for both teams. LeBron
My question is, how is LeBron and MJ the last 2 picks? I guess that's the – but who would I pick, LeBron or Michael Jordan? LeBron.
Facts.
Like that. I like that.
But who would you pick, LeBron or Kobe?
Who would I pick to play on my team? Well, a nuanced answer. I would pick Kobe, but that isn't because I think Kobe's better than LeBron. I think LeBron's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
But because I'm such a Kobe guy, I would just want the opportunity to play with Kobe.
A suck lord, yeah. Tyler Goodson's mom said, "Can you come back?" They want you to block.
No, that's against the rules.
They want you to block for T. Good another year. That would be.
I think once they see these 2 youngins coming up, they'll miss me a little bit less. But that's if we even have a season. So we'll see.
Dude, it's so sad.
We don't even need to put negative.
But back to the Iowa State thing. Who did I want to beat the most? It's Iowa State, yeah, for sure. And again, I don't have anything bad to say about Iowa State or Iowa State people. It's just that for me, that was, and I understand, and I know there's kind of this weird phenomenon where each side tends to try to downplay how important it is to them.
It's so annoying.
It's your Super Bowl. It's it's what it is the final evolution of the age-old playground, excuse for losing a game. Oh, I wasn't even trying.
Sure.
Because when you're in that scenario, if you win and you care less than they do, well, that counts for double.
Yeah.
But if you lose, it's just because it's your Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit here and play that game. I think it's stupid. It is my Super Bowl. There's no question about it. In fact, I'll tell you how big the Iowa State game is to me. During the 4 games that I played in versus Iowa State, and again, I'm not saying like I beat Iowa, nothing like that. The 4 games that I happened to be a part of where we finished with more points on the scoreboard than Iowa State, we were 4-0. The 4 games I played in versus Wisconsin, we were 0-4. And keep in mind, you have to beat Wisconsin if you're Iowa and you want to go to the Big Ten championship, you got to beat Wisconsin. I mean, you don't mathematically have to beat them, but let's be honest, like if you don't beat Wisconsin,
most years you have to. Yeah.
You're really
up against.
You're up against some.
The road to
odds.
Indianapolis runs through Madison.
Right. I would not, given that fact, if someone was offering me, you can trade one of the Iowa State wins or all 4 Wisconsin games, I would decline.
Wow.
You are
bold.
You're a psycho. Dude, I'm taking the win over the Badgers 1-1.
That's
coming from a guy who never lost to them either. That loss really sucked too.
It was a big deal. The Iowa State game's a big deal to me. And again, I'm not disrespecting Iowa State. In fact, I think Coach Campbell's a damn good coach, and I'm thinking they're headed to a pretty good place. Now, it is a fact, and this is not me foo-fooing Iowa State, because I know a lot of Iowa State people, some of the best people I know. Throughout history, they are less than blue bloods. Okay, their first bowl win was 2000. and that was a 9-3 season. They've won, I believe, 4 bowl games in history. It was a 9-3 season, and that, I believe, to this day was their best season ever. So this isn't, you're not talking about Wisconsin with Iowa State. However, they always play us tough. And
Always.
a lot of times they beat us. Okay. And they really do want to beat us. And again, all the respect in the world for them. I remember Jack Trice Stadium is awesome. I love playing Jack Trice.
We've talked about it.
Yeah. We love that. Was probably our favorite place to do too.
Oh yeah. And in the bus ride there was amazing. The last time you guys weren't there, so you didn't see it, when the 7-hour from kickoff to final whistle game, I was in the back corner, just on the way, chilling out, listening to music, and I see this mom pushing her stroller, and it's one of those, she must have had twins because there was a one in front and one in back. She saw our bus come by, took her hands off of her stroller because she had something better to do with them than care for her newborn children, and flipped us the double bird for, I mean, it was unbelievable. And I love that.
You love it.
Like,
you love to see it.
I absolutely love it. I respect it. They don't act like, they don't act like good, nice hosts and all that stuff. And they want to beat us. They want to beat us really bad. And that, it kind of, at the end of the day, it's the 11 on the field versus the 11 on the field. But when you're in that environment, it feels like it's you against the world. And when you win, especially in the fashions that we did at Jack Trice Stadium, I mean, it triggers some like deep, primal, like, we did it. Like, you can't, you want to talk about bottling up certain cocktails of, emotions and selling them, like, that would be it. That would be
Can you imagine what that drink would sell for?
Dude, I'd buy it. Dude, oh God, I'd pay so much money. When Kanzeri makes that weird kind of like in 2015 for that last touchdown, he kind of like jumps over somebody and lands and like walks in, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin of that 2015 game. And I'm running out to snap the field goal. I think I remember going, "Fuck you, bitches!" Like, I was so happy, just an unwarranted amount of happiness, and like you said, Brady, that primal instinct of like, we win, we're better, we're in your home, and we win, and we're better, and
we're better than you. All that shit you talked, we beat you last year, and then the whole year you were talking about, oh, wait till this year, and then we beat you again.
I will say this: the one thing that hurts me is the more the Hawks build it up. So what? I guess this year, this year there's no Iowa State game, but assuming it comes back next year, whenever COVID disappears, it's like a 6-game win streak now: 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I guess 5-game win streak. The more it builds, that time that they do finally win, because as much as you'd love the Hawks to win to eternity, if the game continues, like, Iowa State will get one, probably in the next 5 years. It would be very hard for the Hawks to go an entire decade without losing to that Iowa State.
Great. It sounds sweet. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State, it was my Super Bowl. There's no question about it. And I know guys who have played for Iowa State, and some of the best guys I know. I know a guy right now. There's a guy right now from Humboldt playing for Iowa State. Shout out Owen Twilliger. And I hope he does great and becomes a great player and all that stuff. I wish no ill towards him. It's just it's a very emotionally charged game for me for many reasons. We talked a little bit about the recruiting deal, and that plays into it. And even though that's like 3 coaching staffs ago now for Iowa State, and,
right?
Double dig.
But it just that is my favorite win, no question. And I've never been more happy to have not had an experience as much as I am happy that I've never lost Iowa State, because that would have been a tough Sunday.
It was a tough
Bruh.
Sunday.
That would have been a tough Sunday, especially because you got another 10 weeks waiting for. I mean, that's a blemish. That's an early blemish you don't want. You just don't. And we never had it, so.
We did.
Oh,
We had
he's
it.
bringing back. I'm sweating. I feel anxious right now.
Dude.
Them
Man.
Sundays after losses. Oh.
Oh.
Just talk about walking into a cemetery on Sunday morning.
Dude,
That's the thing. Like,
it's the worst. It's the worst feeling. Is it worse when you get Panera shit sandwiches? Was that what we got on Sundays? I feel like that's when we ate
Usually,
those
yeah.
things. God,
Was
when
like
we
after
were
film.
coming in from a loss, I wanted to eat a shit sandwich because that's what I deserved.
dude, it was the most sulking, like.
Dude, when we walked in on Sundays after a bad loss, I wanted to walk into the needle.
Okay.
You just stick me in my arm and get it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What compounds would we be mixing?
I don't know. Whatever they do when they put people down via the needle.
The three. Yeah.
I mean, you could just load me full of like 500 micrograms of fentanyl and watch me float off.
Wow. Jesus. Where do we go from here? We're like an hour and 20 minutes into this thing.
I don't know. I thought you had funny Twitter questions, dude.
Dude, no, really, after reading through them all, we kind of like touched on, like we answered a lot of them in the dialogue before we got to them. So,
well, that's the thing we could like touch on. We were talking about how bad coming to the complex is on Sunday after a loss, and like if there are any fans watching this, just understand that no matter how upset you are after a horrific performance, there's nobody who is more acutely aware of how bad it was and how much it needs to get better. And no one feels worse about that than the guys who have to come in on Sunday.
And it's by
and we have to watch it all over again and watch it happen again. And watch every little mistake that we did.
It would be like,
feel bad about it.
It's the equivalent of like if you work for fucking I don't know what company and you're and there's like a big client and you fuck something up in securing this client and it's on you. It's all on you. And the next day you have an entire staff meeting where they put on somehow there's tape of you fucking everything up and they put it on and they start talking about how you need to do better and all this. And
this team would have a much greater finished product if it wasn't for your bitch ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably going to be one of those games where next camp, KF's going to pull it up and dissect every single play. Meanwhile, it's 10:30 p.m. or whatever it is, and you got practice at 6 the next morning, and you're just getting berated for something that you did
when the clips
7 months ago.
When the clips came on at the 9:30 team meeting at night, you knew you were.
All you wanted to do is go back to the hotel and eat your Emilio's sandwich and cookie.
Yeah, maybe you were lucky though, and it was Domino's pizza night or Oreo Blizzard night.
Or Chick-fil-A night.
But yeah, like
I always try.
No one's ever tried to lose. Like no one's tried to throw a pick six. No one's tried it. It's like and that's why I'm actually thankful that Twitter wasn't a thing when I was playing. Is like the Dunning-Kruger effect is in full force when it comes to sports Twitter. I've noticed, and my Twitter timeline occupies a pretty rare corner of cyberspace. It's pretty positive. It's I don't want to jump off of my roof after I go on there for a little while because I stay away from a lot of that stuff. But everyone's an expert, and it's just hard. It's just hard to watch, and especially when the kids personally, and you understand how bad they felt about the whole, whatever mistake it was they made.
So shitty.
Sleepless night, whatever it is. I mean, just imagine that. There's 70,000 people in the stands. There's millions watching on TV, and no one is more aware of the fact that you did something bad than the dude who did something bad. Like if I could just get on my soapbox for a second and just try to, connect with one fan out there, it'd be that. I mean, it's just it's a hard thing to play Big Ten football, and if you never do anything dumb or stupid or terrible or whatever, you're probably pretty good, because I've never seen it. So
I saw a tweet last week or something. It was political based, but I related to it. And it's not that I did something bad, but on the polecat when I tripped, like, you could probably call that my most embarrassing public moment. And I saw a tweet that was like, imagine if your most embarrassing public moment. Yeah, it was. Imagine your most embarrassing public moment was broadcast to millions of people across the country. And I was like, don't have to imagine it, actually, because it happened.
Well, that's the thing now. Now that I've played at that level and on TV and all that stuff, that's the main thing I think that's changed. When I see athletes on TV have meltdowns or, do something awful, like the Ben Askren fight, I watched that, and he got knocked out of this dimension, and they, I think, officially said 5. I think it was really 3 when he was sleeping. I can't. My initial reaction maybe before would have been like, oh, what a, like kind of like a, what does KF call them? The shitbirds, kind of like a shitbird.
Yeah.
But once you've been there, once you've, kind of gotten a taste for that, now my initial reaction is like, oh, that would suck to be that guy. Like, that's the main thing I think that's changed for me when something like that happens on TV. It's just like, man, in front of all those people, because it's incredible the amount of people watch these things, and it's like, the human mind is not wired to deal with embarrassment on that scale, especially when you give people an unlimited forum on Twitter to pile on. And, half the time it's due to a schematic error that isn't even the player's fault.
Right.
So that's, but
Twitter's a bad place.
Very great.
Is what it is.
I'm glad that just happened.
Yeah. Brady, so I think the reason we rescheduled this podcast is because you're still trying to get that job as a financial advisor at Edward Jones, right?
Yeah, they COVID happened, so everything's froze down now, and I'm kind of in a state of limbo right now. But
what was your degree in?
Business management.
Okay.
And a minor in human relations. So, yeah, that was it.
We'll
see.
Is financial advisor at that place like the end goal, or where does Brady Ross go? What does Brady Ross want to do in his life?
Well, that's been kind of something that I've had a passion for since I was a young kid, because I think I noticed the opportunity that a lot of people aren't tapping into, being born on this patch of dirt, which, despite all of the problems, and believe me, we could make a whole 5-hour podcast and talk about some of the messed up things that are happening in this country, but it's better than a lot of places. And I think everyone has an opportunity to kind of build something for themselves. And I think a lot of people just need a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance. For me personally, I accumulated upwards of, I think, north of $20,000 in student loan debt for the year and a half that I was not on scholarship, every dime of which I was able to pay back just off of my scholarship checks. And, I did that with time to spare. And I think that's something that to a lot of people may not even enter their mind, that you can do something like that.
Yeah,
but it absolutely is doable. And I think exponentially more amazing things are doable than that when it comes to personal finance. And again, money does not buy happiness. No, I mean, the literature is very clear on that, in fact. But I think being in unnecessary financial hardship could limit happiness. I certainly think that
there's some interesting studies out there. It's like, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah.
Oh,
I just don't. I want as few people as possible to suffer those lows. And I think there are all too many people who unfortunately who need not. So if that's the way that I can try to, add value to the
and there's absolutely a lack of education on consumers' parts about what are the best ways to manage their money. You see people going to payday lenders and they're just getting ripped off and putting shit on credit cards that they can't afford. And that's where Brady Ross Esquire can come in.
That's the goal. We're going to see what we can do there.
Money definitely.
It's,
I heard,
David and Goliath, but
yeah.
we all know how that one ended, I think. So
I heard a great quote that was like, money doesn't buy happiness, but not
You
having
buy a
it,
wave runner.
not, yeah. And that's pretty fun. It's pretty happy. But not having money can certainly cause an insane amount of unhappiness. And
a lot of that too comes down to just the state of just perpetually comparing yourself to others that I think
for sure.
That's a virus, coronavirus. That's a virus that has impacted so many people in this country, especially this consumer-rich culture that we have. No matter what you got, someone's got more, and rich is a relative thing, and it's just it's poison to always be wanting more. I think it was Seneca who said it's not he is not poor who lacks, it's he who desires more that is poor, something along those lines. And then there's something you said for having ambitions and trying to, I mean, believe me, we've been talking a lot about having ambitions and trying to improve your lot in life through the Iowa football mode, but and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think some people, no matter how much they have, they're always going to
want more,
yearn for more, and therefore feel like they're not enough. And I think that's where
kind of off topic,
other practices can come in, like some mindfulness practices and things like that, which there's a lot of tools out there for people to get help in that respect too. But I mean, there's also, I think, a big need for financial advisors. So that's what I'm rolling with.
Cool.
Kind of an off topic, but kind of going along with what you said. And I'm just asking you because I'm always intrigued by your thoughts, because I think you're a smart guy. The people who always want more, consumerism wise, like, oh, I want a second house, I want another boat. Like, that's obviously unhealthy. But what about the people who always like strive to be more, like are never really happy where they're at in life and always want to like take the next step up? Like, ooh, I want to get the promotion. I want to be CEO. I want to start my own company. You think that's the same sort of unhealthy? Because I don't know. I've been thinking about that a little bit myself.
I think a lot of it comes down to, as uncomfortable as it is for a lot of people. Is it ego? As uncomfortable as it is for a lot of people to talk about, I do think it comes down to meditating on the inevitable fate that we all face, and that is death. Meditating on death.
Yes.
Yeah, meditating on death. It's coming. I mean, because you can have ambition.
Somewhat sooner rather than later, Drake.
Facts.
Well, if Marcel has anything to do with it.
Sorry, Brady. Go ahead.
But it's just meditating on death itself, because it's gonna happen. Okay, the king and the pawn go in the same box when it's over. Okay, but when you accept that, and when you really internalize that, and really kind of truly realize that, well, now you can, I think, play a game. And now it's just, look, I derive meaning from pushing myself as far as I can go and seeing what I can accomplish before the lights go out. Okay. And I think it all starts with that. It's like anything. How do you overcome a fear of elevators? We don't stay away from elevators. Right? You try to get 10 feet away, and then 8 feet away, 5 feet away. I mean, and eventually you're in the elevator, and then you hit the button. I mean, that's literally how clinical psychologists deal with phobias such as that. Well, the same thing applies to, I think, the same thing applies to death. And I think a lot of people run from it, and they kind of have illusions that they're going to transcend humanity and be, if they just get one more promotion or if they just make one more million, that's gonna be it. It's not. But again, once you accept the final destination, now a whole new door of opportunity opens up, because now it's sort of a game, and it becomes more how you conduct yourself and how you, I think, treat others and what you can accomplish and do it the right way. Given that realization, I think hopefully that was relatively coherent.
God, you're smart. I'm fucking.
That was
But
a
I think that's
conversation to listen to, man. I enjoyed that.
I'm so stupid. You guys,
what books are you reading these days? Anything interesting?
I could teach you guys how to squat if you want.
Oh, I know how to squat, Kluve.
Correct. Yeah, no, I realize that's a bad person to actually tell that to. Yeah, what books you like to read? Read a lot of books?
I read some books. All my books right now are, well, I have a Kindle still, but all my physical books are back home. My mom and brother came up and we packed a bunch of my stuff away and sent it away just to put a dent in it. So my lease is up here at $830 million.
What are some of your favorite, most influential books for the fans that go take a peek at out there?
The Slight Edge, baby.
Okay,
Oh.
Shut up. No, it's not.
No, I mean, I think it's all about what you're into. I mean, I prefer nonfiction books, but I know, like, Drake, you read The Traveler's Gift.
Yeah.
That's a fiction book geared
With
towards
lessons in it, right?
Right. So it's got some self-helpy, and I think
Personal growth, I think, is the preferred term.
It's all about, there's so many good ones. That's the thing about, like, today and in 2020, I don't even want to tell people what to go, because there's just such an abundance of lack of information is not the problem. It's using that information. I mean, there's at the tip, if you have a phone now, a smartphone, you have access to more information than you're ever going to be able to access times, 5 trillion. I mean,
you have all the human knowledge accumulated in the past 10,000 years, but yet you're using it to listen to us right now. So
right, yeah,
what the fuck are you
reevaluate, but
reevaluate your priorities, fans. Come on.
Yeah, and I actually think that reading books, I think that some things have a negative stigma attached to it. I think some things are so negatively stigmatized when you really delve into it, that stigma is not only, unearned, it's completely undeserved. And I honestly think, though, from somebody who reads books and stuff like that, I think reading books is positively stigmatized to a point that it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because there are so many ways to take in information and wisdom from people that don't require you to open a book. And I think, we almost look down on people who don't read, and some people do. And it's like, well, yeah, but if they're taking in 3x the information you are, watching YouTube videos and listening to audiobooks, like we're impressed when someone reads a big thick book, but if they listen to it on Audible on 2x speed, we're like, oh, okay, it's kind of cheating. Well, it's the same information, and
I'm
maybe
smart
they
as
learn
shit.
better that way.
Yeah, I'm smart as shit for all the YouTube I watched, I swear.
I mean, it depends what you're watching and what you're listening to, too, Cool.
That's a great.
We don't need to watch Twitch guys build a massive castle on Minecraft. I don't know.
Well, that's fairly architecturally educational, but the Brady brings up an incredible point. I heard I forget which. I follow all these guys in the health space and the entrepreneur space. I heard one of them the other day said that they don't read any books and all they do is listen to podcasts because that's how they learn. And now the podcast.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to understand what type of a learner you are. There are people who learn better from reading and retain more information that way. There are people who are audible learners who retain more information from listening. Yeah. So,
or it's like you always know who the least tough guy in the room is because he's the one telling you how tough he is.
Sure.
Like he's the one who has to this in the same way. You kind of know who least well-read person is because they're
They have to
bragging
go out of the
about how
way.
many books they read.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I read, 78 books in the last 4 months. It's like, okay, recite me 3 main points from half of those 78 books. None of them can. Would you rather read 3 books per year, but really internalize and really know what, and maybe even disagree with some of it? Write down some stuff that you don't agree and why, and play devil's advocate and try to pick holes in your own position. I mean, to really, truly read a book correctly, it's a process that takes sometimes months, and in extreme cases, years to do, depending on, not all of us are Marco and Miguel who can just take a mental, I don't even think they have to open books at this point. I think they've transcended that.
They just
level
learn
of
through
humanity.
osmosis.
They can see. They hold the book, and then like the words seep into their body.
They just download the information.
It's a great segue because I forgot about one question on Twitter. It relates to Marco and Miguel. Kevin Ward asks, when you play Minecraft, do you believe your actions in the video game reflect your true values and morality, knowing that there are no repercussions for the actions you inflict upon the innocent villagers? Or is it a simple outlet for the mind to cope with the stresses of modern life? A true philosophy.
First of all, I treat the villagers with the utmost respect. I think I think you can learn a lot about a man by how he treats the villagers.
by what he sells in his village.
Yes. I mean, I'm not saying that Miguel and I have not gotten a little bit edgy at times and set fire to a couple villages, but that we didn't save the game, so it didn't count. I really do treat them pretty well. I think one time I tried to, because there's a way to get them back to there was one across the ocean, and we wanted to try to transport them to our village. So we were trying to get them in boats and then get them across. I guess that was a little bit.
This doesn't sound very good, Brady.
That was probably borderline kidnapping, but I think they're
slavery. The story of slavery.
Well, they didn't fight back, so
you're a true quandary, Brady. To me, you're a quandary. With how some of the simple things like the love for Minecraft and some other stuff that we won't talk about on here, like conversations that we've had, but then you come on and we have fucking life talks about financial advice and true deep conversations. It really is. You're
an interesting cat.
You're a unique individual, my guy.
Not sure how to take that, but thank you.
There you go.
Got any more memes for us, man? The Loot Memes Snapchat group's been a little dry lately.
It really has. I've been slacking on the memes. So has our group chat with Miguel and Marco, but we gotta fire that up and get some new memes rolling. I think whatever it is about COVID, you'd think that the meme world would be thriving right now, but I don't know. I haven't come across many good ones lately. But
I truly think that memes are one of the most fascinating things about our modern society.
They're an incredible form of communication. I love them.
There's different levels to them, and the deep fried memes
within the memes.
I like the deep fried memes, and it's always funny when you introduce deep fried memes to a group of friends who have not been exposed to them before, because what happens inevitably is all of them go, I don't get it. It's stupid. It's, that's just ridiculous. But as you keep chipping away, next thing you know, they're sending you deep fried memes, and it just kind of spreads. Like, once you get it, I think. But no, I haven't.
There's definitely some that are still way over my head that I have no idea what you're going on with. Well, I was getting a good chuckle out of them.
Brady, where do we leave this off, man? We're like an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, probably closer to 2 hours deep here. And anything else you want to say to Hawkeye Nation? Or, I mean, you're going to come back on, and I'm sure. Probably not. It took us fucking so long to get you on this thing. Where do we leave it?
What, I don't know that I'll be back on because I think you guys might be canceled by the next time I get a chance.
God willing.
Come on, baby. So. Hey, listen, they can't cancel us, though. That's what you know.
And look, I got to say this. I'm not very active on the social medias. I do have the social. I'm not I'm not trying to be like the old guy, like, oh, look, I'm barely even understand that stuff, because that's not what I'm trying to get across. But I'm, especially in the last few days, all three of you could have tweeted some asinine nonsense that
Drake did.
Just by being on this podcast right now, some people will see that as self-incriminating, but there are just by virtue of me being on this podcast doesn't suggest that I agree with everything that any of you said. And I think that's actually an interesting thing we could go into.
Very interesting.
100%.
There's not
I don't
a lot
agree
of
with these
guilt.
other two assholes on half the shit we talk about.
Well, there's now a lot of guilt by association going on that I don't think is fair. If just because I'm on the podcast, just the same way, it doesn't mean I disagree with every one of you on every point ever made and hate you all. It doesn't mean the opposite either. We're just talking, and we certain things come up in the conversation, and we talk about that, and maybe some things we'll disagree on. I know you guys have all three said things that I strongly disagree on, and I haven't even watched all of your podcasts even close. I don't agree with everything you guys have said, but I'm still here. I think we should be able to have conversations with people.
Well, you don't learn anything from having conversations with people that you agree with every time.
Sure,
I mean, that's just reinforcing your own worldview.
It's the echo chamber.
I mean, you should try to expose yourself to different opinions, all that stuff. We didn't really get into much of that yet, but I think everyone needs to get better at talking to each other. I really do. And some of these things, it breaks my damn heart, because there are people who, I love each person, and they are, kind of at war with each other or trying to tear each other down. And I think a lot of it has to do with a lack of proper communication. I do think that. And human beings, sometimes we can be bad communicators, but I just think, we should be able to talk and have conversations. I think conversations and good ideas are the most powerful tool that we have. I think the only thing that can drive out bad ideas are good ideas. And I think that bad ideas cannot hold up in the presence of good ideas forever. That's a quote I stole from a guy named Sam Harris, but
Legend. I
think it's true. I think it's absolutely true. And I think that this cancel this guy, cancel that program, because I don't agree with it. Even if I disagree with every single word that person has ever said, I don't think canceling is the right answer.
Which is interesting, because you have a cancel Drake Kulik sign behind you.
Oh yeah, what is it? The exception proves the rule. I don't know. I'm just kind of excited that someone finally had the balls to start.
I'm surprised it took so long, to be honest.
And I'm still waiting for it to work, dude.
Hey, Dark Ages.
How would they cancel you? It'd have to be Twitter, right? Because
let me ask you guys this question, and this will probably get discussed on Twitter.
Oh Jesus!
God damn it!
Nate, give me.
Wait! Before you ask it, can I just leave now? So
No. You guys will like this. Give me your ranking on most hated people in Iowa. Coach Doyle, me, DJK.
You're really throwing yourself a bunny.
Yeah. Drake, there's about like 10,000 people who know who you are, bud.
I know, but the hatred levels at an all-time.
Well, hated Iowans or most hated by Iowans?
By Iowans.
Because then you got to throw in
like your politicians,
then dead or alive.
Reynolds, Joni.
You got to throw in Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin.
Throw Trump in there.
Donald.
I think
Trump's definitely in there. No matter.
Honestly, I think
and let's just narrow this to Iowa City.
I think this is a poor question.
I'm gonna imagine
are things that bad? Are things that bad with Drake?
I think Drake just wants to be hated.
Should I have done some research?
In the last,
should I have done a little research before going?
In the last 2 weeks, Drake has made off air in the Benton chat. in the Wash Up Walk-Ons text message and on Twitter, Drake has seemed to jump on this self-sabotage, he openly said it in the message.
Body bags?
In the
body bags level?
Way worse than body bags. It's like he literally wants people to come out. Like, he's so bored in his life.
You need a hobby, bro.
He's so bored in his life that he wants to cause chaos and just be an asshole on Twitter and the podcast. To the point,
I like to play devil's advocate.
Right, but to the point where, like, today there was something that he was gonna say or like said, and I was like, at some point, you being an asshole and people enjoying the entertainment is like diminishing returns on your on what it's doing poorly to our brand. And like, if you continue to, and it starts to twist, the teeter-totter sinks to the other side, Brady's our third fucking host now because you're not.
That ain't happening.
Kittle suggested cornbread, which would be fucking time.
That'd be elite.
Cornbread. Turkey, bacon, or ham, bud?
Turkey, bacon, or ham, bud? Hey, Big Mike.
Oh, shit.
What a 2 hours it's been.
It's been tremendous.
You guys, I remember when all three of you guys were trying to get just 0 listeners back when Oliver Martin transferred.
What? That was a good one.
Till now, were we right or were we wrong?
What were you all saying? You should kick rocks.
Okay.
He shouldn't be able to be on the team.
That was Drake. Drake was actually angry that Drake was actually angry that he transferred in and said that like he shouldn't be a Hawkeye or whatever. But Kevin stayed almost completely out of it, and I stated to the fact I tried to bring up that like a transfer like that with a big time recruit to one school at a blue blood coming to Iowa, like I was full on board that it wasn't going to work out like a lot of people thought it would, at least right away. And granted, he caught a touchdown on like his first catch, but after that,
the kid is talented, dude.
He's fucking
smooth.
elite.
He moves. And here's my thing, okay? And because I remember being mad at that plot because Oliver's the man.
Yeah, you told us.
He's a great guy. And as a 17-year-old kid, it's just I don't think it's our place as 4 guys who had 0 Division I offers to say, hey, this 17-year-old kid who decided to go play football on scholarship at the University of Michigan is a moron for doing. I mean,
yeah, me and Kevin are on
He's
board.
from Iowa City. Just imagine that. Like if there was a college in Humboldt, I'm not so sure how excited I would be to go.
But like here, Brady, I think where we're differing here.
This is fun, Kevin.
All I said was stay put. That was my whole deal. Was hey, you made your decision. Now stick with your decision because the 4 of us, we made a decision and we stuck with our decision, wrote it out, no matter the ups and the downs. That was my point. Regardless of how anybody took it, I didn't care.
This is a year. This is over a year later. How are we talking about this again?
Well, Brady brought it up.
Brady's trying to get me canceled.
Kevin and I.
I took the position because I had no idea why he was transferring. If you want to transfer,
dude wanted to transfer.
Yeah,
and we were okay with that. Kevin and I were both okay with that.
I am pro players being able to transfer whenever they want because look. There's such a discrepancy in compensation. The NCAA, we could talk about this for hours. You're running a multi-million-dollar business in Division I college football. Players are seeing the pennies that slip through the cracks in the form of scholarships and scholarship checks. And then you're going to say, once you make it, and coaches can up and leave whenever they want. And still be getting paid by the other school millions of dollars a year. And you're telling me players can't up and leave whenever they want? No, I'm pro player all the way. And I don't ask any questions. I think there should be just, I think it should be just free trade, laissez-faire, Adam Smith economics when it comes to
wealth of nations, baby.
When it comes to players transferring and, what have you. I mean, I wasn't good enough to transfer anywhere, but
right. Neither was I. And this is where our opinions differ. But
Your house burned down?
The fire alarm's going off in Brady's fucking house.
Be right back.
This is one of those situations though where me and Brady's opinions differ, and that's perfectly okay.
No, and I understand that. Oh God, it's the fucking candle. I don't know how that works, but I mean, we can go back and listen to it, but Kevin and I were fairly on. I mean, Kevin, you can speak for yourself, but I was 100% on board with Martin coming to Iowa City and playing for the Hawks. I was just pointing out and being kind of devil's advocate that a lot of people thought, oh, Oliver Martin, big time recruit, goes to Michigan, was touted to be the starting receiver that next season at Michigan or whatever. He's going to come into Iowa City and he's going to take over and he's going to be the guy. And I was just pointing out the fact, which made me get roped in with Drake, that it was not going to be that smooth, or there's a very good chance, because there's a lot of variables in that process, that it would not turn out that way. I was hoping it did. I literally said on the podcast, I hope he proves me wrong and that he catches 2 touchdowns a game. And I still hope he does. But Drake and Brady, you guys just have a little bit.
I think he's gonna. So I haven't even been paying attention. Is there gonna be just Big Ten games, or are they canceling? Like, what about Rutgers? Like, what about cross country games? Like,
so at this point, we talked about it a little bit. The Big Ten basically said you're only playing a Big Ten schedule. So Iowa State,
Pac-12 suit.
Yeah, the Iowa State game is not happening this year if there is a season, and whatever other 2 teams we were playing, not happening. It's an 8 or 9 game schedule or something like that. But it's kind of our opinion.
They're going to make it a 10-game schedule. So the 9 teams that they were going to play, and they're going to add another one in there. And I mean, if we're having football this year, I got to imagine the schedule comes out within the next week. Otherwise, how the hell can you plan for all this shit? But I'm not too optimistic about it.
Whatever. I don't know. What if they have camp and then no season?
Okay, so
talk about the cruelest thing ever.
So here's what I'm hearing is they've got like a 14-day spring like makeup for their practices that they lost, or like that's what they get. They get this
sounds absolutely horrid.
They get this pre-camp camp, and then they get like a week off or something, and they go into camp. That's at the current moment. I'm pretty sure.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's.
Well, is this because like the season's not going to start until late September or what?
Something like that. That's the last I heard. I don't know. I'm having dinner with my brother tomorrow, and I'll figure out more. But
I mean, that would mean you're in camp during school too. How does that work?
The last I heard was that KF was not optimistic.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, to think of that on a cruelty level is pretty tough.
I mean, we were just talking about how, players aren't given, near their share. And then we're going to talk about just sending them to the gulag 2 times.
Right. So I will say this, man. Players aren't given near the amount of compensation that they, profit that they create for these universities. But don't ever cry me a river and tell me that D1 athletes got it bad.
They don't have it bad. The problem is they should have it better.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
It'd be like, it'd be like if you at Stryker were selling just unreal amounts of fucking knee replacements or whatever the fuck you sell. And you were worth 200,000, but they were like, well, you could live on 50, right? Like, you're good.
Us four weren't horribly undercompensated at all. But we're going to talk. We mentioned Nick Bosa earlier, or like an AJ Epinesa or a TJ Hawkinson, I remember TJ was trying to make a decision. I told him, like, dude, leave. Like, what do you like? I mean, you are probably, you could crunch the numbers and with a high degree of accuracy say, you are bringing in X million dollars to this. I mean, it's always funny how you can't sell player image or likeness, but every time the number of the star players shifts, and I'm walking through the Iowa City Mall, it seems like everyone has like their number as on their jersey. It's like, how do you get around that one? Now Shields is, when CJ Beathard's the quarterback, they're selling 16 jerseys. I mean, Shields straight up sells our jerseys.
Yeah,
that they get from
our jerseys. Yeah.
So, like, if you're in Nick Bosa, when he decided he wasn't going to play anymore, I know a lot of people, that's selfish. Look, you got a guy who's bringing millions of dollars of value and not getting a dime. I mean,
well, they're getting a dime. They're getting a dime.
Sure, he's getting paid, but not what he should. I mean, you know, like
$1,800 a month.
It's just,
well, I mean, the NCAA changed the legislation. I don't know when it takes effect, but maybe next year or 2 years from now, that you can profit off your name and likeness.
They're still figuring
it's coming down the road.
Yeah,
but for me, it's just a principle thing. It's just, you know. But again, we all signed. No one made us do it.
No.
And again,
well, it's because there was no better.
I wouldn't have made a difference for me. It wouldn't have made. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but you know, there are a lot of people who are, you know, and then you want to talk about just the long-term effects of football. There are people who are seriously messed up from playing football, and
we got at least one of them in here.
We're
right.
At least probably three. I'm probably okay, but I'm worried about y'all.
He's good. I feel.
Yeah.
You seem to still have it together, Brady, but yeah, I don't know.
I never had it together. I think banging my head on stuff knocked a few things right, actually.
Right.
So when you start out with a half deck, you know.
Well, we're 2 hours.
All right, guys. I gotta go to bed, man. I gotta wake up in like 5.5 hours. So
hopefully, I hope people enjoy this conversation, because this.
Yeah.
Whoa, what just happened there?
That's Jared's girlfriend.
Okay, cool. This has been good. I feel like we really did something here.
Yeah, what did we do? Did we finally cancel Dre Kulik?
Not quite yet, but I think we're on our way.
Did we accomplish my goal?
No.
It's the only reason why I'm on here.
Episode 131 of the Washed Up Walkons podcast. 2 hours of content. You know what? What we really should do is split this into 2 episodes so that we don't have to record 2 episodes next week. We just leave it would be so much easier on our part.
That would be such a dick move.
Yeah, it really would.
I mean, we really did have 2 different podcasts. We had half a podcast talking about Brady's life story, and then a half podcast where we just dove into a bunch of random ideas and stuff.
The other thing is, like, when podcasts go this long, I can see how long people listen for, and like it's almost better. Like, people will turn it off and forget to listen to the rest of it. So I almost want to split it into 2, because some of the shit at the end of this conversation has been awesome. But Kevin's got to go to bed, sell knee replacements. Drake does what he does. Brady is gonna
gets canceled.
Yeah, Brady's got yoga and pasta and deadlifting tomorrow, so he's got to get back to that. Episode 131 of the Wash Up Walk-Ons. Thank you guys for listening. If this was part 1 or part 2, I don't fucking know. A great conversation with the one and only B. Ross. Thanks for being on. We'll talk at you guys again soon.